for all of us at Marvel and for Joss, it's always about the characters. The fun of the Avengers film is not just the spectacle, it's not just the superpowers, it's having the characters interact with each other in a way that they can't in their own individual movies. So when the first Avengers worked and it became one of the biggest films of all time, our first task was, now we're going to make a number of films between Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron with just Iron Man, just Thor, just Captain America, introduce some new characters, which became the Guardians of the Galaxy. And we need to remind the audience that they're just as cool separated as they are together. And clearly we call that phase 2, and here we are at the end of that. Phase 2 has worked, and worked even beyond our significant dreams. So as we started going into Age of Ultron, the fun was purely, now we get to put Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and Hawkeye and Black Widow and Fury all together again for the first time since the first one. I think it's safe to say that the first Avengers was about them meeting each other for the first time. In Age of Ultron, they're getting to know each other for the first time. And there's so much material there for humor, of course, which is something that's very important to us at Marvel, and for conflict. And I think what Joss has done with Age of Ultron is pair up characters in unexpected ways. The fun of the comics is the shifting roster, is the notion that the Avengers begin as a certain roster of people, but over time, and certainly in the decades and decades since Avengers #1, that roster has changed dozens of times. And some characters go off into their own adventures, new characters come in. So for us, that was always part and parcel of the concept of the Avengers. So now that we have the opportunity to do another one, it was always the idea that we were going to mix up the teammates. He is an amazing actor. And while he can be funny and he can be witty, and is at all times, he can be self-reflective in an amazing way. And he can continue to add new elements to Tony Stark. And he's not always the same. And Tony does evolve as a character over the course of the films. Iron Man 3 is a great example of having the biggest superhero in the world, and he's he's having a panic attack in a small town in the middle of nowhere in a slushy snow with a little kid going, "Are you okay, mister?" We love that. And I'm not sure we would take the character to those places if it wasn't for Robert, if it wasn't knowing that we have somebody who can do such a tremendous job, keep the humor going while getting very dark, keep the realism and emotion going while being very silly, for lack of a better term, in some moments. And that really frees us up to continue to take the character in these unexpected ways, because Robert will be there, and we're chasing him half the time in terms of where the character is going, what he's doing with the character. And it's been an unbelievable pleasure to see him design this character, build this character, embody this character, and then continue to surprise with this character. Joss was beginning to put together the character of Ultron, how he came about, what he wanted to do with the character. And he said to us, "I think it's got to be James Spader." And it was another moment we went, yes. There was nobody else on the list. There was nobody else that we went to. There was nobody else that we talked to. He might have been the first, I think he was the first new actor signed to the film. Because he's so unique, and he's got such an incredible, yes, he's got an amazing voice, number one, that is full of humor and darkness and emotion. And the key with Ultron, and Ultron in the books is a very unique robotic character, but it's a scary thing. There are a lot of robots in cinema today. There have been a lot of robots. There are a lot of franchises based on robots. There are new franchises coming down the line that are full of robots. We did not want a normal robot. We wanted Ultron, as he has been in the comics, to be borderline insane. The first film, we were based very much in, there were a few scenes that took place in some other countries, but it was very much based in and around Manhattan, the traditional home to the Avengers in the comic book. But it was important to us because it's true in the comics as well, the Avengers are not an American superhero team. They are a team that has devoted itself to protecting the planet. And it was important in this film that we showcase that and that we travel around the world